What's going on, everybody? It's Blandon here from Wealth HQ and welcome back to the channel. And today in this video, I'm going to share 5 tips on how you can maximize your borrowing for your next purchase. Whether or not you're just dreaming to buy your first home or you're looking to upgrade your home, you need a bit more options in terms of borrowing. These tips are going to help you maximize your financial position. So let's dive in. The first tip is to reduce your regular expenses that are coming out of your bank account. The banks always look for patterns, and if they can see certain expense coming out of your account regularly, those are going to go down as your fixed commitments. And the more of those you have, the less you can borrow from the bank. 2 of the most common ones, the first one being donations. If those are coming out of your bank account every single week or fortnightly, then it might actually be better for you to do lump sum every 6 months or even 12 months so that it's not a regular expense coming out of your account. The second one is daycare expense. Of course, I'm not asking you to stop daycare, but potentially you can get the grandparents to pay for it for the next 12 months, 18 months. That's going to help your mortgage application a lot. If you set that up sort of 6 months beforehand, before you get the mortgage application, it would increase your borrowing significantly because now you have an extra $1,000 to $2,000 a month to increase your borrowing. There are of course other regular expenses that you can watch out for, but those are usually the biggest ones. And if you can reduce those as much as possible, then that's going to help your application. The second is to manage your credit card limits and reduce your short-term debts. Most people don't notice, even if you just keep a credit card limit of say about $10,000, it can reduce your mortgage borrowing by about $40,000. And if you have short-term debts like car finance, that's going to reduce your borrowing even further. It's best to look at consolidating those onto your property if you already have one, or pay down as much of that as possible, but not hurting your deposit upfront for that first home. The best thing to do is talk to a mortgage advisor so that you can strategize in terms of how much of it to pay off and how much to keep as your deposit for your next home. The third one is to explore border income. Another great way to boost your borrowing power is to rent out a couple of rooms in the house that you'll be buying. Most banks will allow you to have up to 2 boarders. If you have less than 20% deposit, that might reduce to just 1 boarder income. But if you can get an extra $200 per week, that can increase your borrowing power by about $75,000. And if you have 2 boarders, that could increase it by about $150,000 at most banks. Tip number 4 is consider home and income properties. What are those? Well, these are properties where there is a second dwelling on site. So you're getting not just the board income from the rooms that you're renting out, you're also getting a rental income from the second dwelling. Even if it's just a 1-bedroom studio, you might get something like $400 to $450. This will again increase your borrowing by around $200,000. Not only is it a good way to increase your borrowing, it's also a great way to reduce the outgoing that you need to pay for on the mortgage when you settle it. Tip number 5 is to utilize second-tier lenders. Now, most people, when they buy their first home, they only consider the 4 main banks. Don't overlook the second-tier lender options as well. They often have more flexible lending criteria where you'll be able to borrow a little bit more if you compare it to the mainstream banks. Now, of course, there will be some downside to a second-tier bank. Usually the interest rate will be a bit higher. So it's important that this option aligns with the strategy that you're going for. Just to give you an example, if you're buying a property that is significantly undervalued and you only have to put in 15% deposits, let's say it's $150,000 to $200,000 under market price, then that equity you'll be able to use later on at the mainstream bank because you'll be able to refinance that property and still have 20% deposit in the deal. This is going to give you low interest rate. You have effectively built what we call instant equity. If you want to learn how you can find property with instant equity, we have another video in our channel and I'm going to put the link in the description below. So again, it's very important to note that just because it's higher interest rate doesn't mean that it's worse, because if you have the right property strategy in place, that's going to allow you to have more options and give you instant equity, and you'll end up in a better financial position if you have the right plan in place. Now, here is a bonus tip. You want to consult with a mortgage advisor. Now, if you're just trying to get a loan approved, then you can just go to the bank yourself. But if you're looking for some advice in terms of how you can structure your mortgage the best way possible, how you can maximize your lending for different options, or you're just wanting to make sure that first purchase, you're going to build a lot of equity, you want to buy a property that's going to have good long-term value, this is where Mortgage Advisor can add the most value. They can provide personalized advice based on your current situation and the objectives that you have in place. Do remember every situation is different, so it's best that don't just follow what I say in this video, but to consult somebody like Wealth HQ, Mortgage HQ, who can help you with that process. That wraps up our 5 tips on how you can maximize your borrowing position if you're looking to buy your first home or upgrading to your next home. Remember, if you have found this information valuable, smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm and share it with just one friend who might benefit from this video. As always, if you have questions or if you think there are other tips I have missed, drop a comment below. I would love to hear from you. And until next time, I'll see you guys again.